Welcome to the show Gold Squadron Gays. It's the podcast where two Star Wars loving gays talk about and review their favorite Star Wars content while also being gay as hell. I'm your host, Bradley Brower.
I'm your other host, Charles Rogers, and we have another guest. We have a guest again. It's been a while, actually, I think, since we've had
We
a
haven't
guest.
had a guest in like two
Skeleton
full shows. Yeah.
Skeleton group. Anyway, joining us from the multiversal planes or something is a person. I was trying to make a Magic the Gathering joke, but then I forgot if it was called the multiverse.
It is called the multiverse, yes.
Because we were just talking about DC in the patreon.com/Gold Squadron Gays for $3 a month bonus section at the beginning. And that also has a multiverse.
Well, so DC has an omniverse.
What the fuck does an omniverse mean?
Oh, there's multiple multiverses.
You're just making up words at this point.
What? You
That's
can have multiple,
literally my job.
How do you have
DC,
multiple
but-
multiverse? Isn't the whole purpose of multiverse that anything can literally be possible?
No, but they're like separate multiverses.
Okay. Anyway.
Person who makes up words as part of their job. Can you tell us who you are?
Hi, I'm Loreley Weisselabrizi. I'm a co-host of the Vorthos Cast, the world's #1 Magic the Gathering lore and story podcast. I'm a freelance writer and game dev. I work on Magic the Gathering. I do card names and flavor text. I write some character VO for some video game stuff, but I'm not here for any of that. I'm here because I also really like Star Wars. And I heard that sometimes people talk about Star Wars on this show.
Yes, occasionally. And I remember, like, was it 2 or 3 weeks ago on the Vorthos Cast? You were like, you started to go off a little bit on Star Wars and then was like, I can't talk about Star Wars. Otherwise, we'd be here for 15 minutes.
Yeah.
And then I was like, we got to have Loreley back for one of our visions. You had, when I DM'd you literally yesterday on BlueSky to be like, you want to jump in on one of these episodes, you had never seen Vision Season 2.
Yeah, I don't know what happened. These came out last year or
This
earlier
was
this year?
Almost like 2 years ago.
I know, 2 years
Jeez.
ago.
Yeah.
Okay.
This was the May 4th thing 2 years ago.
Right.
I have no idea why I didn't watch them. I don't know. Like I don't remember why they just kind of slipped through my television watching. I must have been really involved in something else. I don't remember. Yeah, you DM'd me and I'm like, I haven't watched these at all. And then I remembered that they're shorts and the whole season is like basically just watching a long movie. And so I watched them last night and they were great.
Love that.
Yes. And I was like, which one do you want? And Loreley was like, can I please have the big evil woman one? And I'm like, yes.
I think that's almost literally what I said. Yes.
Yes.
Right.
Yes, of course. So yeah. And you guys just added another co-host to the Vorthos Cast.
Yes.
So
Yeah,
you're getting bigger even over there.
Well, sort of. Like Jay's not really a regular co-host anymore because he's got work and family and things. And, Ryan's on only has been also very busy, carries a 50-50. So we're like, Chris and I were doing a lot of episodes, just us. And we're like, what if we had another co-host? So we reached out to Hen, who has been a longtime listener and is someone in our social circle. And so he agreed to that to be on the show. We were like, hey, we would like you because we had Hen on as a guest for a couple episodes. And
yeah, because weren't they a writer on Edge of Eternities?
No, but we had
came on to talk
about robots.
Yes,
because Ken,
that was it.
Hen's internet handles are all about kissing robots and big robot fans. So
I am slowly starting to gain an appreciation for kissing robots. The more time that Hen spends on the podcast.
Yeah, but Hen is also a writer, and so we had him and Valerie Valdez on an episode where we just like talked about writing in general. I think with a big focus on like fanfic, and the chemistry was good and the timelines worked out. And so, yeah, now we have even more co-hosts.
I highly recommend the Vorthos Cast if you're a writer. They keep having the writers from Magic the Gathering on, which is very fascinating. Particularly the Edge of Eternities episodes, because the way Edge of Eternities is written It is not quite written like a normal linear plot line.
It's written like a really normal
read like a book.
Yeah, it's written like a really normal piece of Seth Dickinson game writing, though.
It's something else.
I had to miss that interview episode, and I was very bummed about that. I'm a huge fan of Seth's work on Destiny 2, and
no, someone from the Vorthos Cast likes Destiny 2.
Yeah,
shocker.
That's complicated right now, but that's a whole other tangent that we're not going to talk about.
I feel like every week in the final thoughts, someone brings up Destiny 2. Every week, without fail.
Not as much as anymore, but again, I'm not talking about Destiny 2 right now. It's a rough time for that game.
Different complicated sci-fi franchise. Different complicated shooting things in space.
Yeah.
And aliens and geometrical shapes. So my friends have a podcast called Holodeck Divas, and it's a Star Trek podcast. It's what got me to watch Star Trek. I'm halfway through The Next Generation for the first time. And they have a counter on the show. They ding the counter every time something happens. And they ding, one of the counters that they have on the show is attacked by geometry. And when the alien ship, then like the Sith ship descended at the end of Screecher's Reach, my brain went, ding, attacked by geometry. Because it's this just like sweeping,
it's gorgeous
series of flat triangles. Like there's not a whole lot too complicated to it. It's this shape that descends from the sky. And I was like, ding, attacked by geometry.
It is a shape that like unfolds like a flower, and it's great. God, Screecher's Reach was gorgeous. All of these were great. So really, when you asked me which one I wanted to talk about, I really could talk about any of the ones from season 2. Just every single one of these had different, awesome, great things going on.
But which one are we talking about, Bradley?
Today we're talking about Star Wars Vision Season 2, Screecher's Reach. A young girl seeking reprieve from her days in a rural workhouse discovers a legendary haunted cave with her friends. The cave's dark pull will change the trajectory of her life forever. So, guess what country we're going to today?
The country that donated a healthy amount of my genetics.
Yes. This short was produced by Cartoon Saloon, which is an Irish animation studio known for multiple Academy Award nominated films such as Secret of the Kells and Wolfwalkers.
Hell yes. I fucking love this. Do you have some voice actors for us?
I do. I have quite a few today, so I'll just kind of fly through them as fast as I can. We'll start with...
One of them has been in a Star Wars before.
And the best one, but that's just an opinion. But first up, we have Ava Whitaker as Doll, which is our main character. She's done voice work in the film Wolfwalkers. Alex Connolly as Bathon, the older boy, known for his Irish films he's been in. Noah Rafferty as Quinn, the younger boy, known for the Irish TV series Louise Lives Large. Molly McCann as Keena, who is the little alien character. Irish actress. Most recently, she did an episode of the Apple Plus series Bad Sisters, and she's actually going to be she's going to be starring in the upcoming Hunger Games movie Sunrise on the Reaping. I don't know plot or characters, but she's playing the character Luella McCoy. Don't know if that means anything to anybody, but if
everything I know about the Hunger Games, I've absorbed from being friends with people that really, really like it.
The ghost, I'm putting in quotations because we'll get to it when we talk about plot, but is voiced by Neaman, I think that's how you say her name, Moyles. She works in the animation department, and she just provides voices from time to time for Cartoon Saloon. And then finally, Angelica Houston is playing the Sith Mother. And we all know she plays Issa Durand on The Bad Batch, and she's famous for Addams Family and multiple other things. But
being
for Star
the
Wars
only
purposes,
watchable
yes.
thing in the first season of Smash.
There you go.
No, really, she's the best part of that season. If you watch the first season of that show, it's a fucking disaster, except for her. All of her scenes are glorious. She's the only watchable thing in that show.
Love it.
I have lots of opinions about Smash for some reason. Because I'm a musical theater gay.
I love it.
Fuck, this short was so good.
It's so good.
It's so good.
I love this one, honestly.
Oh, Lord.
And I don't want to... I'll say I like it and I don't like it in the fact that I've never seen this animation studio before. So I've never watched Secret of the Kells. I've never watched The Wolfwalkers or any of their other, I think it's called Song of the Sea or something. But I've never seen any of those films. However, I visually know what they look like. Like I've seen them at Academy Awards and stuff, so I've seen it. But I liked some of the animation when it was really smooth and it was like finished. I don't necessarily love I don't want to call it jerkiness because I know it's part of the style of it, where it's like they cut a few frames in between the movements or something so that it gives a more kind of hand-drawn quality, I think. But I don't know. I think I just like it when it's nice and smooth and like flows through and I don't notice that. But when I do notice it, I'm like, oh, dang. It's like Dancing with the Stars. Like I would have gave it a 10, but like you had one tiny thing that bothered me, so I have to give it a 9.
Of course, you have to bring up Dancing with the Stars.
Well, yeah, obviously.
Lord in heaven. No, I was reading the one piece of trivia they have that was of interest to me. Actually, there was two pieces of trivia, but get to one of them a little bit later if I remember. But the one piece of trivia on IMDb was that many of the backgrounds are inspired. I'm just going to quote directly from IMDb here. Quote, many of the backgrounds are inspired by landscapes in Kerry Country, Ireland, and the workhouse at the beginning is a reference to Irish workhouses. The Screecher in the cave is a reference to the Irish myth of the Banshee, a female spirit in Irish folklore seen as a very bad omen and who screams or wails a lot. End quote. This is such a fucking Irish short. Like that's what I love about it so much is I started watching it the first time this was made by an Irish studio because it's just dripping with even just the aesthetics of it before you get into what the short is actually about. The aesthetics of it, like the fact that it opens in a workhouse, the fact that it's drawing from the myth of the Banshee, the fact that it's got this like sweeping landscape leading up to Screecher's Reach, but also like the fact that it starts with this like workhouse and ecological devastation and like something that has clearly come in and tainted this land with industry. I also love J.R.R. Tolkien, which I know he's English, but he also explores a lot of the same themes, like with industrialization coming in and sort of destroying things. And I did recently rewatch all of those movies, and I'm actually due to re-listen to the books. But it was the same thing that I really loved. And one thing also about Screecher's Reach is like a lot of the world building is in the visuals. Like it doesn't tell us directly what's going on. It trusts the audience is going to pay attention enough to pick up on what's going on with the world building and like the subtleties of how the characters talk about like Dull moving on. Like, oh, if you take the chance, get out of this life. And then of course we see what happens with all of that. It's so fucking good. It's so fucking good. I'm going to say it's so fucking good a lot in this episode.
That's because it's so fucking good. So I watched Song of the Sea from the studio previously. I got very excited when I saw that they did one of these shorts because I really enjoyed Song of the Sea. That's their Selkie movie, and I really like. I've been meaning to watch more of their films because I really like them stylistically. The Irish folklore part is also very interesting. So the next magic set that I wrote for, which is out in January, February next year, is Lore and Eclipsed, which is a world built off of and inspired by largely Irish folklore. So it's a space that I have worked in previously, and like, yeah, it's the vibes of this kind of there's a balance of like the pastoral, but also the like it's dark and it's creepy, but there is darkness and evil that is an imposition, and there is darkness and evil that is natural. And I think those are two very different states in this short. The workhouse being this kind of devastating, imposing, morose environment, but this whole Banshee Cave being more emotional and expressive and natural. It is not like. It's not that it's evil, it's just that it is.
It's also worth noting, I think, that with regards to the two biggest problems that are caused, the ecological devastation and then the plot of this short, that with the ecological devastation and the world building, that is a result of something coming into where it shouldn't be.
Mm-hmm.
And the plot of this short and the ending happening the way that it does is because Dal goes to a place where she should not be.
Mhm.
She actively perpetrates the same thing that is happening on a broader scale to her world on this Banshee cave by going in and then acting surprised Pikachu face when the Banshee's like, get the fuck out of my house,
Mhm.
because the Banshee was just minding her own business. And yeah, Doll perpetrates this by going in and disrupting. The real evil force in this short is the disruption of the natural order of how nature should be.
Yeah, and it's one of the things I really like about this Sith ship at the end, the way it's so rigid, but it's also the color palettes isn't dark, it's whites and like some red and gold highlights. It's strong, rigid lines. It is not the thing that we normally, or even Star Wars normally associates with Sith and evil, which is usually mostly black with like blood red. And so it's this this whole Sith ship descending down is like alien and otherworldly in a way that is kind of uncanny rather than in a way that feels disruptive to the world. And it's great. Like so much about the short breaks down the way Star Wars usually characterizes the light and the dark. I think a lot of what the plot of this is like, because for most of it, like I think you're meant to think that Doll has this this Jedi talisman and is like tapping into like the goodness and is gonna stand against the darkness, and that's not at all what's happening.
The talisman was probably the thing that like made alarm bells go off in my brain so much on the second viewing, like once I knew what the plot of this actually was,
Mm-hmm.
because the idea that they've conceptualized it as Doll is, so this is not a religion, and it is important to keep in mind for the purposes of this short that the Sith are a religion. They are a
Mm-hmm.
religious cult.
Yeah.
That this is a religious cult and an organized religion that is not a part of this society. Nobody else practices this religion except for Doll. Nobody really knows what this thing is around her neck, or they don't seem to. They seem genuinely surprised when the ending happens. So we have someone who is a part of a religion that has come in from outside and handed a sort of talisman to wear around the neck to a young person and is seducing them away to leave their friends and family and join this outsider oppressive order. Because we also know that, you know, this, even within the context of the short, the Sith mother was like, yeah, go kill that spirit that lives in the mountain. Like, that was the test,
Mm-hmm.
was to kill her. And like the idea of, it's such a subtle thing, but I love it so much. The idea that it's almost showing religious colonialism,
Mm-hmm.
like a very subtle religious colonialism in the wearing of the item around the neck and the eventually leaving one's friends and family behind in order to join this outsider order where you will always kind of be treated as an outsider there too, but you know, you'll be treated as one of the good ones.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot. I had a lot of thoughts about, because she keeps touching it and being like, give me strength. It's not doing shit
Mm-hmm.
for her. It's just mental. Like when she, clearly the power was within her all along to move the giant rock. But the idea of,
Yeah.
oh, I'm drawing strength from this token of this outsider religion that's trying to recruit me. Did I mention that this short is very Irish?
Uh-huh.
Did I mention a couple of times that it's very Irish?
Yeah, and like so she talks about specifically strength and courage. So which is like you think, oh, Jedi shit. And like so, you know, she's trying to escape this horrible ghost with this red lightsaber who's just another Sith who lives in this cave, and there's this light fractures at the top of the cave, and she's like, oh, I can escape to the light and strength and courage. And she's and then the screaming Sith lady grabs her ankle, and she's invoking the things that you think are going to be the Jedi, and she's going to reach out to the light, and the light will save her. And one of the things I really love about this visual moment is that the the fracture at the top of this cave is drawn like in really harsh, rigid, pointed lines and really high contrast. And it's not the light that moves, it's a shard of the darkness. The boulder that eventually crushes the legs of this Sith woman that she moves, that is a piece of the darkness. She reaches out to the light, and it's the darkness that responds. It's the darkness that responds with violence, which, and then she picks up this lightsaber and kills this other person. And it's so fucking good.
I can't get over how good this short was. I don't want to speak too quickly because I know Bradley and I will heavily debate some of the later ones. I think this might be the best one.
I was going to ask if this was your favorite.
I think this might be the best one.
I think it's my favorite.
Yeah, because
it's definitely my favorite.
It's my favorite.
It's definitely my favorite. For sure, Screecher's Reach is my favorite.
Yeah. I don't know, because we haven't really watched them all again, so I can't say for sure. You know what I mean? It's one of those things where it's like, maybe I'm just not remembering one down the line, but like,
I mean, I do know what's coming
so
next week, and next week is also a banger.
Hmm.
Next week is the water one.
That one was
the one that's just like explicitly about colonialism and
which part?
Boy, one of my favorite things to get mad about.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's in the stars, yeah. Mm-hmm.
In the stars, yeah. That's what we're doing next week. But this one, I love that her friend tells her, like, do whatever you have to do to get out.
Yeah.
And then, because the first time I watched this, I was like, what is Dahl doing? Like, she is leaving her friends. They supported her the whole time, etc. And then I watched it again a second time, and I was like, no, number one, her friend tells her, like, do whatever you have to do to get out, and then act surprised Pikachu face when she does that.
Yeah.
But then also, like, when the ghost shows up, they all run away.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Like they all
leave
leave
ghost
her
and their children.
And granted, she tells them to like go. She'll be right behind them. But they do. Their first instinct is to run away, and her first instinct is to, which I think is the more reasonable response when you're facing down a shrieking ghost in a cave. The correct thing to do is run away. Throwing that out there for anyone else that ever has to deal with the ghost problem like I did, run away. Don't keep engaging the ghost. You will not actually win this encounter. The ghost will win and you will not. I say this from experience. They run away, and sure, her reaction, because she's got this like mandate from her cult that she's trying to join, is to plant her feet in and stay. And so the ending makes a lot more sense to me now, both why her friends react the way they do, which is to turn away from her and to essentially choose the status quo, go back to normalcy, what they consider normalcy, broken as it is, and her like complete and utter devastation as she's trying to justify her choice that she thought they would understand.
So my initial reaction to it was like, oh, she just got groomed by the Sith. That's what the story is. This big evil Sith lady grooms this child to kill. Like one of the things I like about this is how little is explained, and knowing how the Sith work, like, was this Banshee woman Sith in the cave the big evil Sith woman's old master? And did she groom this child to kill her old master so that she could be a master now? I don't know. It's like, I think that's an interesting way to think about it, but also just like, even if it's not that specific, just the way the Sith are so cutthroat about each other is just this very lonely, solitary system that Dahl gets groomed into instead of sticking with her comrades. But I like that it's complicated because she does get out of a bad situation, and she probably falling into a worse one, almost certainly. But like, not all your choices are that clean and easy. And like, there's a part of her that wants to go, and then, she tells herself, don't look back. And then she looks back, and it's just nothing is resolved in any clean or easy way. None of the decisions made are clean or easy. And I think that's great.
You know what I just realized as you were speaking? The two Sith that we see, the one in the cave that gets killed and the one that comes down in the ship. The Sith that is in the cave, the one that has to be killed, the one that the Sith mother wants dead, other than the lightsaber. And even the lightsaber is very roughly animated. I love how the lightsaber is animated. It's animated a lot like the lightsabers in the last short we watched, which was Sith. But it's kind of got this jerky, otherworldly quality to it. And the magic that Sith is employing goes back to what you're saying, natural. Like it's part of the darkness. It's part of the mountain. That this woman is some sort of Sith or Darksider, but she is part of the environment. She is part of nature as it exists in the context of this world. And the Sith that does and mind you, she also stays in her fucking cave. And again, the problem started because someone came into her house, which if someone breaks into my house, I'm swinging a baseball bat at them too. I don't blame her. But the one that comes down in the ship is very technological and very clean. And you mentioned like the very clean lines and the whites and the golds. The Sith in the ship is very technological based. And there's this encroachment of the technology based one into removing the more part of the nature Sith. Mm-hmm.
And I'm looking at the pictures. So, because I have it like stills pulled up from the StarWars.com episode gallery. I'm looking at the difference. So it cuts from, if you look at one picture, it's of the witch lady being crushed by the water. She, like you said, she's like kind of blending into the environment more, but she still has like kind of gray hair and like almost like gray skin. But then when we cut to the Sith mother, she also has gray hair, gray skin. She just is a lot more clean and, with the reds and the whites. But then if you look at the lightsaber has changed and it matches the Sith mother now. So it's the exact same kind of designs and angles. And so it looks to be as if either the witch in the cave was maybe at some point the same sect or whatever of Sith from this lady, because it's the same. This lightsaber looks almost identical to the Sith mother, like in every shape, every like kind of the flower motifs, the everything about it. So it's really interesting how ethereal she looks here, but then the other one is just so raw, I guess is the better word for it, when she's in the cave. But I don't know. This is why I need more from this story, because I need to know more information about this Sith mother.
At the risk of continuing to repeat myself, it's so fucking good.
right.
Good. Well, and that's like the talk about Sith being this kind of imposing religion in this world, I think is also interesting because the other Sith in the cave is talked about as local folklore. She is a children's story, right? There's a way that she is expressive and primal and mythological. So like when Doll walks into the cave, like everything in there is so rough, and it's like the animation gets like really expressionistic and it's so moody, but once Doll pulls the stone down, everything settles into reality and everything is crisp and clear. And is this a coming of age story? Is this like, I mean, it's literally,
I'd say
this
yes.
was a test. This is a rite of passage that the children's story becomes something more clear and complicated and adult by the end.
Not to like be a former evangelical person here, but I am reminded of the biblical concept of like putting aside childish things, and like the idea of that being a central idea in a lot of branches of particularly Christianity. The idea of like that transition to adulthood and like how that is manifested through religion. And that almost seems to be something that is going on here, to where the doll is, I would say, yes, it is a coming of age story, but I'll also say it's a darker version because it's twisted by this. It's not a journey that Doll embarks on necessarily. It's a journey that is set out for her by her cult to tell her to do things a certain way so that she can become an adult in a certain way that they can then use in order to bring her more fully away from the sort of healthier environment that she was in with her friends, which, the workhouse wasn't great, but the relationship between her and her friends was clearly much better for her, transitioning her away from that and towards what the Sith mother wants, which is a new acolyte.
Yeah, and this is what the older voice says, is like, if there are better lives than what they have. There are also worse lives than what they have. And there's like, but in a like, I don't. The older boy, whose name just escapes me because I'm terrible at remembering names, it's just like very non-judgmental of Dahl's like desire to get out of
Bathan.
there. Bathan. And like, I don't know, he's sad. Like he just everyone seems sad that she leaves, but I like I don't feel like there is an understanding of her desire to leave and a sadness that she is leaving, and I think some worry creeps in at the end of like the way that she's leaving. There's like they're faced with kind of the horror of the situation, that they kind of get the idea that she probably killed a person in there, and now is leaving, and with this other strange person who arrives in this weird geometric spaceship from the heavens. And it's just they're going back to the life that also isn't the best. Everything's just so messy in this. It's so fucking good.
As much as I loved the campfire scene, I did have to very briefly pause at the lines, life could be a lot worse, or, well, things could be a lot better too. I did briefly have to pause at that because that is word for word the punchline of a Calvin and Hobbes comic strip.
Yeah.
And like it's very poignant, but I also I thought of that comic strip and had to pause and laugh for a minute. Because when I was a kid, I read Calvin and Hobbes so much that I used to play a game with my friends where you could pick a random Calvin and Hobbes trade paperback collection that was on my shelf, open to a random comic and read the first 3 panels, and I could verbatim tell you the 4th one.
Incredible.
But I also think there's an interesting point here to which Dahl's test, you know, you mentioned her having gone into the cave and killed a living being.
And
I also think it's worth mentioning this is a living being that is a local, that is part of the local folklore, part of the local society. You know, it may be someone who has a connection to the Sith, but this is somebody who, this is an entity that was part of her world and part of her land. And the test that the Sith mother has for her is to go and eliminate that part of her own culture. And then come back and say, then she can prove that, like, she is willing to kill parts of her own culture in order to better her own life and to take these opportunities. But it's also complicated because the life that she had before sucked ass because someone was coming in and making them do workhouse stuff.
Yeah.
It's so, you're right, it's so messy. It's so beautifully messy.
It's a story where there are different choices that aren't the same, and what is good or bad or right or wrong isn't clear, but you still have to live in that world and make those choices. And that's like the very adult part of it, because like I think you bring up the campfire scene, and I think about the 2 younger kids who are like, yeah, if I saw the ghost, I'd kick her in the arse. And that's not what they do. They run away scared because that's what you do. And who does actually kick our ass is Dahl, and that turns out to be like a really kind of horrific experience. And so like the sense of like I don't know what my point here is. Like I haven't thought all the way to the end, but it's very interesting that the kids who run away screaming are the ones who are like, oh yeah, no, I kicked the ghost's butt, but that's literally what Dahl is sent there to do.
I think children very much want to talk about growing up, but none of them actually want to do it.
Yeah.
And it's a very different thing to talk about it than it is to actually take the action to do it, because being an adult is hard, and being an adult means making uncomfortable choices and making moral justifications in a way that is not ever going to be be or easy. And it has always
I
been
haven't
that
noticed
way.
that in my adulthood, so that might just be a you thing.
That might just be a me personally thing, is that you have to make unpleasant decisions and the occasional moral compromise. But yeah, that's something too that comes through, because I watched it the first time. I was like, why are these kids here? Like, what are they actually contributing? Could you have told this story with just Bathan and Dahl? And no, I don't think you could have.
No, because I think it's really important that Bathan is older than all of them, that he's the one who he understands the moral quandary space in a way that the younger kids don't.
He's also got like a scar on his face.
Yeah.
Like he's clearly endured something unpleasant. Either it was a workhouse injury or it was something that happened. Like his face is messed up. He has suffered some sort of physical injury to himself that looks really nasty.
And scars as masculine maturity is something that is found all over non-Christian European stories, like extremely common trope space in all kinds of fairy tales and folklore and myth and legend. And it almost feels like he may have gotten the choice to leave himself but chose to stay kind of situation. Like he definitely strikes me as a character who is not going to leave this situation, but also is not going to stop Doll from like making her own decision. But he carries the younger children. He seems to have this kind of clear distinction between the youthful ignorance and the unfortunate consequence of being older and knowing things. And Doll's kind of making that transition in this story.
Bradley, did you have anything else you wanted to bring up with regards to this short?
The only other thing I had was, again, I love talking about the Sith Mother, obviously, because it's the best part of the whole entire thing. I did want to bring up, I have the concept art. I'm going to show you guys in just a second, if I can remember how to share my screen. Here's the first one. So this should be all you're seeing is the Sith Mother, correct? Okay, great.
Correct.
So you can see how her design is, right? You can see like the shapes and the angularness of it. And then I think, let me see if I can switch.
For our audio only listeners, I highly recommend either Googling this and looking at some of the concept art.
It's all on the StarWars.com.
It's all on the StarWars.com trivia guide, or I think Bradley's going to include it in the YouTube version.
I will try. Yes,
he's going to try. You know who you could also visually see. No, I'm not going to do that. That would be a horrible plug. We're working off the StarWars.com trivia guide is where we're seeing, because it's hard. Art is very hard to describe at an audio only medium.
Right.
Loreley would know all about that. Magic the Gathering podcast.
Every time we have to talk about art, I'm just like, sometimes I wish we had a YouTube version. I will describe this. She looks very Catholic.
Okay, so keep that in mind, right? Okay, so look at how she looks, and then now this is the medallion or whatever. So this is the one that she's wearing on the medallion she wears around her neck. The doll wears, and you can kind of see it's like giving like lotus or flower vibes, very angular, similar, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's giving lotus vibe, which is technically lotus is a universal that has the universal meanings, right? It's all over the place, not necessarily just Irish, and it's usually like spiritual enlightenment or like purity or something. And I just find that very interesting, where it's like these symbols of like this rebirth or whatever and beauty. It's like can be misconstrued from this evil being, which technically we know the Sith are supposed to be evil, but I find it interesting that she comes down like this angel essentially that is plucking Doll out of disparity and darkness and then bringing her into the light, but it's like you said, it's like misleading because it's supposed to be like obviously she's evil. So it's gorgeous. I love it. It's very
as a former Christian kid with a very complicated relationship with his own spirituality, but also a deep fascination with religious iconography and themes. This did, in fact, have me clawing my own face off. I loved this. I loved the design of this so much. Yeah. I brought up before the use of the talisman around the neck to draw strength from. It's oh God, it's so fucking good. Just go watch the short. If you haven't watched the short for some reason and you listened to this episode, and if you did watch the short and listen to this episode, go back and watch the short again. Go watch it a second or third or fourth time. It stands up on repeated viewing.
So I don't really have too much more. There's one small trivia fact that was on the Star Wars website I think is worth noting, is that the cave is supposed to be a pull from Empire Strikes Back, where he goes into the cave to reach some kind of enlightenment of, like, you know, the cave scene. We all know what that means.
I have a little piece of trivia that I found when I was looking on IMDb that apparently this is the, quote, first time as a director for Cartoon Saloon co-founder and longtime producer Paul Young, end quote. So the guy who directed this fucking masterpiece, first time he's directed.
Yeah.
Longtime producer, first time he's directed, which is fucking incredible. Wow.
Well, now that you've mentioned the director, I guess I might as well throw in the writers because, we might as well
who
just do
wrote
them real
this?
quick. So there's two writers, Will Collins and Jason Temeniaji. That one's a little hard for me. That one's got the two little umlauts on the A, so I have no idea how I'm supposed to say that. But Will wrote the screenplays for Cartoon Saloon Films, Song of the Sea, and Wolfwalkers. And then Jason is the creator, writer, and director of an Irish preschool show called Fluffy Gardens. So that's the writers. And then, like you said, Paul Young is the CEO and founder of Cartoon Saloon. So he produces all the films, but this is his first time directing. So now for the next segment, how would you both like to see this story continue?
I'll set the baseline for the answer. Emma Miko Candon, who wrote Ronin, the novel that expanded on the duel from the first one. Maybe not Emma Miko Candon specifically. I would maybe like to see an Irish writer tackle this, but similar to how they gave Ronin to them. And they did Ronin, and they did a completely different take on it in a completely different medium, because that book is such a masterful, like, transitioning the vibe of the duel over into this text-based medium. I would like to see it get a book. I would like to see it get a book expansion. That's how I would do it, is give it to an Irish writer and let them go ape shit in the way that Emma Miko Candon went ape shit on Ronin. That's how I would do it. Because this story is so meaty and can be so evocative, but I also want to see it done in a different medium than animation.
Right.
I would like to see these same themes explored in a different way.
I mean, I have the same thing as you, so I'll just go next because I think
fucking do.
Yeah, I think a
You're
book.
always copying me on this podcast.
I am gonna copy you because I think this was giving me like Rise of the Red Blade, vibes. Like I feel like Doll's story and 13th Sister, it's like very similar in that I want to see like that kind of story continue, just more of that from Doll's perspective. I like that idea, just doing a singular one-off kind of novel. So I think I like that idea. And then that's a tragic ending, spoiler alerts. So I feel like Doll's story is probably gonna end very similarly, if not semi the same. So what about you, Loreley? What do you want to see?
I mean, not necessarily. She could do what Anakin Skywalker failed to do and return home and actually set the other children free. You don't know. I need to know more about this big, evil, incredibly attractive woman. Like
Given your feelings on Domina Tag, I'm not surprised.
I can't believe they just let them name her Domina.
That is from her. I know this now because I've recently read them. That is from her original debut in the 1980s. Late 80s, I think mid to late 80s.
Oh, well, then I know how that got approved. Someone was doing cocaine.
Yes, Domina Tag got approved by doing cocaine, and then they brought her back for Star Wars number 108. And then Alyssa Wong was like, you know what this story about disaster lesbians and a throuple needs? Also, an evil woman is the villain.
Yeah, we gotta do a whole other episode about Dr. Aphra because I have so many Dr. Aphra thoughts. But
when I convince Bradley to read them,
they're really good.
They are really good, Bradley.
I listened to the first audiobook and we got through that one, so that was good.
Okay,
that's
you
the
gotta
one thing
keep
I haven't
going.
done yet.
You got to keep going past that.
Yeah.
You got to get into the Alyssa Wong run where she's in a throuple situation.
I just want them to adapt the comics and just make it a thing. Like just don't change anything. Just take whatever happens in the comics and then just turn it into either animated or live action. I'll watch it.
I agree.
Lord in heaven. Normally, we would do a final thoughts on the episode overall, but whenever I have somebody from a different podcast on, I always like to kind of do a little reference to whatever show they came from. And we did this last time. I want to do this again this time. On the Vorthos Cast, they have final thoughts. And the final thought is anything you want. It has absolutely nothing to do with the episode. So final thoughts in the style of the Vorthos Cast, where we talk about something completely fucking unrelated to Star Wars. I am on mid-season 4. of Star Trek: The Next Generation. I've never watched a Star Trek. I started watching it because Holodeck Divas started it. TNG got so interesting, I jumped ahead of the podcast. I was listening along with them. They're in season 2. I have jumped ahead to season 4. Tell me how this show went from being one of the worst TV shows I've ever seen in my entire life to every single day I am sitting there eating lunch, watching my episode of TNG. I am locked the fuck in harder than I ever have been. Even their fucking like episodes that have nothing to do with the overarching story plots have gotten so good at this point. And like they did a whole episode about Beverly Crusher and a whole episode about Deanna Troi, and both of those episodes were good, which is such a change from seasons 1 and 2 when Maurice Hurley is in charge of writing things. Because while Beverly Crusher actually getting some fucking respect, I'm so happy. I'm loving this show so much. And it will be 10 years, Bradley, but I will get to Strange New Worlds at some point. I just refuse to watch a show that's referencing a bunch of old shows without having watched the old shows first.
Fair.
So TNG, it is good. Could be gayer, but it was made in the late 80s and early 90s, so I'm going to give it a pass. What about you, Loreley? Do you have a final thought for us?
Yeah, I did not come in expecting to have to do this, but I also am on the show that does it this way, and also most of the time never remember to have one ready. But you talk about not wanting to watch a series in an IP that is referencing a bunch of old things without having watched all the old things first. I am actually currently doing the exact same thing, but with Kamen Rider. I guess I have to explain to people what Kamen Rider is.
Yeah, I follow your BlueSky and would love to have an explanation on what Kamen Rider actually is.
So Kamen Rider
it just seems gay and messy.
Yeah, when it's good. Kamen Rider is a long-running Japanese tokusatsu show. It's started in 1971 and features a grasshopper cyborg motorcycle scientist man who kills literal Nazis and their weird mutant monsters. And commercialism has happened since then. And so like every Kamen Rider series is different and has no connection to really the other ones. They are largely children's superhero television, but the company that makes Kamen Rider has done various projects reaching out to an adult audience. A couple of years ago, they did a series called Kamen Rider Black Sun, which was, I think, about 10 episodes for adult audiences that was reimagining Kamen Rider Black, which is the 1987-1988 series. And I've heard very good things about Black Sun. And so I want to watch Kamen Rider Black Sun, but the problem is I don't want to watch it without having watched Kamen Rider Black. So I am currently, I think, 21 episodes into a 51 episode and I think 2 movies series. And it's great. I love the late 80s. They got this boy in really tight jeans and a really puffy leather jacket and fingerless gloves. And it's great. So
I truly wish everyone on Earth could see Bradley and I's facial reactions as Loreley was explaining that entire thing to us.
Uh-huh.
I still don't know what Kamen Rider is.
I still don't know what it is. Yeah.
This is what happened. So I started watching Kamen Rider last year, the end of late in last year. And so like I've been a Godzilla fan my whole life, but like I've never watched Ultraman, I never watched Kamen Rider. The only Super Sentai I watched was Power Rangers as a kid, which isn't Super Sentai, but it is Super Sentai. It's a whole anyway. And so like I never started like people would talk about Kamen Rider, and I was like, I'd probably really like this, but I know it's been run. There's so much. Like, I can see the fandom abyss, and I'm like, I can't go down there. And the thing I thought would happen happened, which is I started watching Kamen Rider, and now I'm just like so far deep in it. I'm like, oh my God, what happened? It's so much. But like, because I'd always say I'm never going to watch One Piece. It's 1,000 episodes, never. And then I looked up how many episodes of Kamen Rider there are, and Kamen Rider's like over 1,600. And I think there's about 70 movies. And that doesn't even count all like the direct to DVD specials and stuff, because Japanese media does a whole lot of like direct to DVD physical media releases. And I have found myself in an abyss that I keep falling even deeper into, and it doesn't stop. Where's the end? I don't know.
Speaking of time, Bradley, do you have a final thought for us on something? I have a sneaking suspicion what thing you're going to bring up, but we'll see if you surprise me.
So last week was Wicked Night on Dancing with the Stars, and
Fucking called
honestly,
it. Fucking knew it. I knew it. I called it. I fucking knew he was going to bring up Wicked Night on Dancing with the Stars. The minute I said, pick a thing to talk about that's not Star Wars, I knew this motherfucker was going to bring up Wicked Night on Dancing with the Stars. That's why I seeded earlier that I was a musical theater gay. Please continue.
This is me learning that they're still making Dancing with the Stars. So continue.
They are.
they
And
are.
Robert Irwin's on it.
Yes,
That's all I
and
know about this season. And last season had that gymnast boy from the Olympics on it.
Correct.
Because they did a
No,
lot of social media marketing. Their team
this
did.
season's really good, though. I think they did a great job with Wicked Night. It was very good. I still don't understand. I mean, I do from a production perspective, but I don't understand why that if this was the official, like it was officially like sponsored by Wicked Part 2, like why we didn't use or license any of the music beforehand, which no shade to the live band and live singers during the actual episode, which they are great. And the fact that they are even able to even remotely sing any of these songs from Wicked is a feat in itself. Shout out to the one vocalist who has to do all the high notes for Defying Gravity and all the other songs. But why was any of the licensed music used? I don't know. And also, as much as I agree that Scott needed to go home because he's not a good dancer because he's a little too tall and lanky, it's Andy's time. Like, we can send him home, guys. It's okay. Like, you don't have to. Guys, he doesn't even want to be there himself. He's hostage right now. You guys are keeping him there by voting for him. Please let him leave. He wants to go home to his family. He is old and he does not want to dance anymore. And that's my final thought.
Loreley, where can the people find you if they want to hear all of your opinions weekly?
Yeah, if you want to learn about Magic the Gathering or already like Magic the Gathering, the podcast I am on is called the Vorthos Cast. You can find us on SoundCloud or any of the other places you find podcasts. Am I allowed to plug the Patreon?
You are allowed to plug the Patreon.
We are on Patreon as well, patreon.com/the Vorthos Cast. Everyone who supports us there, we have a Discord community as well.
You forgot to say for as low as $1 a month.
Yeah, but I'm not on my show. I don't need to do the whole pitch. That's been drilled. God, I think I think we're in like the close to episode 370. I think it's so many episodes, and
it's a lot.
That bit, we've been doing this since like early 2018. I think. Oh my God! Don't start a podcast, kids.
I co-signed. Don't start a podcast.
And literally all I can think about is like, what if I did another podcast? And it's just, I can't. We can talk about magic lore and story and stuff. We're currently talking about Lorwyn because the Lorwyn D&D supplement comes out next month, and then the Lorne Eclipse story starts in December. And so we're going back to Lorwyn Shadowmoor, and so we're talking about all that good lore win.
Pluggables. Bradley works on a bunch of reality TV. Please watch it so that he can remain employed. We need him to keep being able to do this podcast, and he needs money to do that. He works on such shows as later seasons of Married to Medicine. He works on Temptation Island, Queen's Court, King's Court, The Circle, other ones that I know I normally say, but I forgot. I am on a Star Wars TTRPG podcast called For Light and Dice. It is an all-queer actual play TTRPG set in the High Republic era. We are trying to schedule our season 2 finale right now. So we are coming up on that finale. So this is a great time to get in and binge listen to the entire first 2 seasons. I am on it. Bradley has a voice cameo. It is a good time. The other thing that I do, there's been a big update on. So I write a series of queer thriller, crime thriller, mystery books. They're basically How to Get Away with Murder set in a gay porn studio. And I've been releasing that series for a number of years. And literally yesterday on my social media, I dropped both the cover and the release date for the 4th installment. So the penultimate installment. There's one more in the mainline series after this. The series is called Beach House Studios. And the new book is called Confessional That book comes out November 21st, 2025. It comes out one day after my birthday, which I did that because I have that day off of work anyway. And so I figured I would just drop it on that day. And so it's about a month away. So if that sounds interesting, you can head over to Amazon. The pre-order's available there. Barnes & Noble, the pre-order went up this morning as of recording. Hopefully Kobo will be up by the time that this episode goes live. Additionally, your local library can get the ebook through Overdrive for very cheap. And speaking of cheap, I am also now taking all of this free time that I have post Legacy Expo to make a bunch of updates to the series. And one of them is that the price of the first book is going to drop here shortly, permanently. I just haven't actually done it yet. I am trying to update the formatting for the first 3 books to make them better prior to dropping that price and opening the gates to let people in. So keep an eye on my social media and this podcast. So there's been a lot of Beach House Studios updates this week. So if that's interesting to you, definitely check that out and give me money. Loreley, thank you so much for joining us. Extremely short notice.
Thank you for inviting me. I was going to say, I have a lot of free time, but that makes me sound like a loser. So it happened to line up very well for my schedule. But yeah, thanks. I love talking about Star Wars. Your show's fun. I like being here. Maybe one time I'll get to talk about an episode of television that isn't about young children.
There you go.
Yes, possibly. Well, we'll have to have you on for maybe one of the Maul Shadow Lord episodes.
Yeah, hopefully
that series looks like it's going to rule.
So we'll see.
It's going to be 4 kids in the way that the Clone Wars was 4 kids.
True. Maybe
Or the
Maul
thing-
too. Yeah.
Maul is a very child-friendly individual.
Well, yeah, of course. Everyone, don't forget that Vision Season 3 comes out this week on Wednesday, October 29th.
For real?
Yes.
Now run the socials. Thank you for listening to Gold Squadron Gaze. Did Charles fuck something up? Email us at goldsquadrongaze@gmail.com and let us know. You can follow us on BlueSky, Instagram, Threads, and TikTok at Gold Squadron Gaze. Subscribe to us on YouTube at Gold Squadron Gaze, where we post full episodes of this podcast. If you like the podcast, you can also rate us and review us on your favorite podcast app of choice. Please join us next week and every week for another episode of Gold Squadron Gaze.
If you want to watch a show with homoerotic cannibalism, that's a show for you.